Hello and welcome back to HyzerMedia's coverage of the 2022 Buchmiller SuperThriller. This event is put on by Elevated Disc Golf Events. Thank you as always to the Patreon family for supporting HyzerMedia. You can support them for as little as $2 a month. I'm Nathan Johnson, and today I'm joined by Lancaster local Ramie Millar.
How's it going, everyone? So today we got a highly modified layout of our local Buchmiller course. It's 18 holes, tight OB lines all listed all over the place. We've got 1,000+ flags lining OB all over the course.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. This is the final event of the Red Rose Roundup. So the points race is close between this man right here, Ethan Hine, and the man that you see before you and hear in your ears, myself, Nathan Johnson. He has a 2-point lead. We also have 3 other competitors on the card, including Nick Strobel, a Lancaster local, put in a lot of work on this, getting this layout set up. Josh Alcock, and rounding out the card, that man right there, Ramie Millar.
So hole 1, we've got a 338-foot par 3. It's a little bit left of the initial tee pad that we have normally. There's a little chip-up island here on the right side, and a very tight fairway all the way up to the basket with a very small island. So most of the pros are probably going to come on here and lay up on the right side, just around these double mandos that we have. There is a safe zone before the mandos, but most people are just trying to get through this gap here and land on the right side in the safe zone.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of layups. That's what Ethan's doing here. He's just going to chip a forehand into the fat part of the fairway. In my opinion, with this, where this drop zone is placed, it's not really worth going for, especially as the first hole of the tournament. But Nick, he's feeling aggressive and he's going to be going for it here. Looks like he's going fairway driver, just barely fades out, and that's going to be out of bounds. So we'll be seeing where that drop zone is in just a second.
Nice little chip shot there from Josh. Put it right there in the fairway.
Nice shot from him. And right before you threw this shot, I don't know if it was you or me, somebody on the card mentioned those 2 precariously placed rocks there.
That rock that we talked about?
Never would I thought I would have thrown it so low right into those rocks, but I ended up safe, and I have a little chip shot to try and get back onto the island green here.
Yep, everything before the 2 mandos is still in bounds, so yeah, this is your second shot. Pretty open hyzer, and you made easy work of that.
And then Nick went to the drop zone here. Has to challenge this island a little bit more. Slides right up to the basket.
Yep, should be no problem for his bogey there. And then we'll have 3 little chip backhands to salvage our pars from the other 3 members of the card. I left this a little wide, but shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's the safe play to be. It's just a little bit wide of that OB. Never bring it into play.
Yeah. Ethan's going to jump putt here. This is probably over 100-foot jump putt, so he gives it a little too much, turns it over. That's going to be a tester putt for his par.
It's definitely what you're not looking for to start your tournament off, but he's still in a good striking position there.
Yeah, definitely a stressful little 25-footer. Josh, that's a really nice shot, just a little chipper. And you'll see a lot of those on this course, a lot of controlled 200, 250-foot shots with a lot of tight out of bounds. So it's important to have those dialed in.
That was that tester putt that you were talking about. You don't want that for the first hole of the tournament.
Yeah, definitely stressful. Ethan leaves it a little low. He's going to take a bogey, and we'll have a couple cleanups for par, and then unfortunately Nick's going to likely tap in his bogey here.
That he will.
I think the nice thing about this card that we've got here is, well, obviously a 5-man card, so you're going to see a lot of shots, but we're going to see a lot of different play styles from this card. Personally, myself, I'm going to be playing very conservative. You'll see Nick play a little more on the aggressive side, and then the other 3 of you kind of fall somewhere in between. So a lot of different ways to play this course and to attack, but we'll get all the variety here on coverage for this first round.
Yeah, we definitely have a few people that have really serviceable forehands too, so they can really attack and play safe in places where some other people might be throwing backhands and have a tougher lie.
For sure.
So hole 2 is very similar to the regular hole 2 at Buchmiller, except we've moved a tee pad to a temp basket to the left side here. There is a safe quadrant over here that you can kind of check up and lay down a nice easy fairway if you don't feel like being aggressive down to where the basket ends up being. Didn't have the basket in place for the video coverage here, so that's why it doesn't show. But it's just a big sweeping hyzer for most of the pro field. But some of the AMs might check up and just play the safe island way.
Yep. Yeah. So you'll see probably all 5 members of this card just go big hyzer. You want to make sure you get around this one big tree in the way, and then something that finishes left. I came up about 30 feet right. We'll have a little scary downhill putt from there.
Josh is going to try and follow suit with that same line, try to get around the backside of that tree.
Yeah, this just comes out a little low, a little inside, and he catches that tree, hits straight down, and actually still stayed inbounds. Fortunate break. What are you throwing here?
I'm throwing an orbit felon, just hanging it out wide, nice spiky line to it, and just letting it fade over to the basket. Just working my way down the hill.
That's a great looking shot. No reason to bring the tree into play. Nice and wide. Let the stability of the disc do the work, and you're parked for a birdie.
Ethan's going to go with that same kind of shot. Just stall it way up there and let it fade back down the hill.
Yeah, it's a really nice shot for him. It is a very blind shot from the tee, so you can kind of hear us discussing, is that a good shot? As you can't really tell, but it was a nice shot from Ethan. He'll have a putt for his birdie. Nick leaves
this a little straight.
Yeah, a little wider than you would like, but he just sneaks back in bounds.
Squeaks it back in bounds.
Yeah, so he'll have a birdie putt from there.
So we're all in bounds at this point.
Yeah, this is Josh's second after that lucky break, but just kind of leaves it a little low. The OB is probably only 10 or 15 feet behind the basket, so those approaches and these upcoming downhill putts that you'll see are pretty stressful.
You can tell there, just a little hesitation from Josh, trying not to make sure he goes out of bounds. Nice, easy putt. Just leaves it a little short.
Yeah, same thing from Nick. Just couldn't quite commit to the height there. We'll see if I can make the adjustment. Yeah, just a little low.
Ethan's got a birdie putt here. And he puts it right on the post.
Really well done.
It's a nice rebound from hole 1.
For sure. Yeah, this course coming in, I think most of the competitors know that historically this layout has played very difficult. You know, you'll usually see even par come in at right around 1,000 rated rounds. So, you know, pars are not necessarily the worst thing. Any birdies you can pick up are definitely going to go a long way just because of how much out of bounds there is. I'm sure I can almost guarantee you that nobody in this tournament is getting through this thing clean without any bogeys or out of bounds strokes. So you're going to need the birdies to kind of balance out those mistakes.
Absolutely, and birdies are hard to come by here.
Yeah, definitely. So hole 2 is a nice pickup for you and Ethan. The rest of us are a couple pars for me and Nick, and Josh, unfortunately, with the bogey as we move on to hole 3. And take a look at the pickleballers in the background.
So hole 3 is playing from regular 3 tee pad to the 7 alternate basket. So it's a 430-foot par 4. We have a double mando here. We have a mando here on your right that you have to go to the left of. And then you have a mando here on your left side you got to be to the right of. And then just over this hillside, the basket's going to be tucked up against this hill with a little bit of trees to block your entrance into the way. So where are you going here, Nate?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to play this hole. I know you're going to take kind of the more traditional route that you'd see on hole 3 with just kind of a straight backhand that finishes a little bit to the left, but just landing short to not find that left side OB. Myself and Ethan are going to take this high spike hyzer line. You can kind of see the sign to the left of Ethan. That mandatory is not in play for this tournament. So just leaving it nice and wide. Ethan does not like this out of his hand. So we'll see if it comes down. He barely finds that left side inbound. So there's plenty of space over there as long as you make sure to put it nice and high and give it the width. Something that will swing back.
So did Ethan's shot affect you at all in this shot here? You pulled a little wider than you wanted to?
Yeah, I kind of felt a little bit of wind. It wasn't necessarily wider than I wanted, but it definitely flatter. I wanted a little more hyzer, so that was testing that left side OB, but just barely stayed in.
Strobel's going to follow my approach. Nice little hyzer up to the basket, or up to the Mandos, and slides a little bit, but he stays safe with those flags.
Yep. Yeah, you don't really need to bite that much off the tee shot here. The big thing is you want to be on the left side of the fairway to kind of open up the hyzer in towards the basket. So Josh leaves this one a little low. He's going to have a little bit more work to get his birdie, but it's still possible. You know, if he hits this gap here, he can definitely find himself putting for the birdie.
Makes the gap, turns it over a little bit. He's going to get down the hillside. And just triples over. He's going to have a putt at that.
Yeah, that was a nice favorable roll. He's probably around circle's edge.
He's going to take a nuclear sea otter here and just kind of punch it through the gap and let it fade on the way down. See if it can slide down to the basket.
Oh my gosh, you're giving it a little bit of a run there.
I think it skipped off the hillside there.
Yeah, very nice shot. Very makeable putt for you. I'm just going a little zone. Leave it wide. Let the stability of the disc do the work.
Beat that tree. Oh yeah, checks right up underneath the basket. Excellent shot there, Nate.
Thank you. See if Ethan can follow suit. We're right about the same spot on the left side of the fairway. This is a little high, kind of testing the ceiling. But it gets through, and he's going to be parked as well.
Yeah, being over there definitely gives you guys a nice little hyzer line into the basket.
Yep, it's pretty open. There's just a couple trees you got to miss on the backside. Nick kind of gives it a little too much. He's going to be circle 2 probably, looking back at the hillside for his birdie here. Great effort. A little low, a little right. And the single chains definitely do not like the low right putt.
See if Josh can get something going here. Just a couple jitters still.
Yeah, putt's just a little off for Josh so far. See if he can figure it out. Your putt is not off though. That's a nice couple birdies to start your round after the par on 1.
Yeah, so far playing my game plan, stay in bounds and find some birdies.
I think most of the players here are going to have a common game plan if they know. Well, common as in stay in bounds, get birdies. But it's easier said than done on this layout. Is definitely pretty devious what Shawn and Nick have drawn up this year.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely a fun event, but it definitely tests your mental game all the way through every hole.
For sure. Yeah, speaking of mental game, we have a tricky little hole coming up in hole 4. It is a par 3, 177 feet. It's actually a shorter hole than the normal tee pad for hole 4, but as you can see, they add this wall to create an island green. If you don't land on the island off your tee shot, you have to proceed to a drop zone.
You do not have to clear this wall. You just have to make it onto the island.
Yep. A little foreshadowing there from yourself as you hit the wall and just barely scoot under it. The wall was not the most sturdy structure, so most of the discs that were coming into contact with it were kind of leaking their way in as Ethan catches a high branch and just barely finds himself inbounds on the left side of the fairway. So 2 fortunate breaks so far on this hole. Let's see if I can get one as well. As this kind of leaks a little early left and
it just slides out left side.
Over the wall, but out of bounds left, which came in pretty quick. So Nick is going to look to make an adjustment, leave it a little wider. He throws a great shot, just barely in bounds on that left side, but that's going to be a tap in birdie.
Josh is going to try and do the same here and hangs it a little wide. Kicks it back in bounds. Definitely scary getting out there by those limbs. You don't know if you're going to kick left or you're going to fall straight down.
Yep, so this is me from the drop zone. It's probably a 60-footer downhill, but not worth running because that OB is 10 feet behind the basket. So just laying it up, take my bogey.
Yep, I agree with that sentiment. So I'm going to lay up as well. I think Ethan's going to give this little half bit as he tries to kind of float it down.
Yeah, good effort. Just catches the band there. A little too much height. Let's see if Josh can get on the board with a birdie. There it is.
There he goes.
Nice putt there. That was definitely a little 25, 30 footer there downhill. Definitely a nice confidence builder putt for Josh. to hopefully get back under par and moving in the right direction. And Nick will have the same thing here as he gets back to even with that birdie.
Yep. Definitely rewarded for good tee shots on some of these shorter holes.
Yeah, and these are the kind of holes you really want to pick up your birdies. I mean, hole 4, I think, is the closest thing we have to a must-get on this course, with it only being 177 feet, but it definitely does not take away from the stress factor that you feel when you step on that tee pad.
We'll tap out there, and then we'll go pop over to hole 5.
Certainly making things interesting, Dave.
So hole 5 is a par 3, 390-foot hole. So we have an early checkup zone where you can kind of lay up. In the middle of the hole, we're going to have a river kind of separated by flags, and then a rather big island to land on up here near the basket. But it is kind of a farther back shot where you have to take into factors wind and your disc flight as you're trying to work your way down this fairway.
Yeah, if you have the power forehand or sidearm, it's definitely it's almost a no-brainer if it's calm conditions like we had today. But this backhand that Nick is going to throw and that you're going to do the same is very touchy to get the angle right.
I love the line of that, but just a little low. Is it squeak inbounds?
Not quite. Yeah, just didn't have the height to get there, and it kind of just cut rolled and came up short of the island. So he's going to be throwing from the short side. Josh, he has the power sidearm, so he's going to rip this DD3 on a nice high flex line, give it plenty of time to come back, and that's going to be a birdie putt. That's a great shot.
It's a fantastic shot. I'm going to go with a Maverick here. Just try to flip something up and let it drift a little bit. Try to stay on the right side of this OB island.
Yeah, and you really committed to that deep hyzer with the flippy disc. A little bit of late drift and scoots a little deep, honestly. You're going to have an uphill putt coming back, but that's all inbounds back there.
Yep. Ethan's going to go with that forehand like Josh did.
Yeah, Ethan goes for more of a hyzer flip line, and this came out a little low and wide, so it's got to swing for him to have a chance to get back in bounds. And unfortunately, he just leaves it a little bit too wide, and he's going to be out of bounds as well. Personally,
does that affect you now?
Nope. So you'll see, as I said before, I'm playing this course very safe, and when I did my practice round here, I decided I was laying up on this hole, and I did not let anybody else's decisions affect that. So I'm just playing this one for par. So for me, it's just A2, 2 chip sidearms. Hopefully give myself a pretty simple par. I let that one leak a little, so we got a 22-footer, but hopefully shouldn't be a problem.
So Ethan and Nick are going to be throwing their OB shots here from just the short side of the island, try to chip up to the basket, try to limit the damage that they've done. It's a nice little spiky forehand from Ethan there just to check into the green.
Yep, that's well done. Yeah, there's no drop zone here, so it's just wherever you went out is where they're going to take their second from. Nick, this one just flips up on him and rides a little bit to the left. Luckily, it stays in bounds, but that's going to be a long uphill putt for bogey. He might not even be able to run it with the low ceiling. He really gave that a good bid. Just didn't have the height. And you're kind of in the same spot, maybe a little bit closer, probably around what, circle's edge?
Yeah, about circle's edge, about 10 feet lower the basket. I just didn't give it enough height.
Yeah, you also had that low ceiling, tough to commit to. Have to settle for par. Not the worst result though on a hole like this. This is a hole where you know, a little slip up off your tee shot and you can easily take a bogey. As we see, Josh also misses his birdie putt.
Nice confident putt there from you, Nate.
Yeah, I don't know if it was confident as a little low left, but I'm definitely not going to complain. I'll take my par on this one. And yeah, Ethan, this will be a bogey cleanup after his OB drive. You can kind of see, you know, these tee shots, if you don't commit to your lines on this course, the bogeys come quick, and that's how you can see a lot of big numbers, especially on some of these holes coming up.
Nick's gonna tap out here for his double bogey.
Yep, and Josh will have a par.
The bogey strokes, they can come quick.
Yeah,
Difficult,
definitely. And
difficult.
that's kind of the mindset behind the layup on this one for me personally. But I know that, if you have that forehand or if you're confident, the birdies are there. So it's definitely a give and take on this course of which holes you want to attack and which you want to, play safe.
Absolutely. So hole 6 is going to be a par 5, 679 feet. It's actually playing to 8 basket. So here the drone's going to take you through the left side. Most of our pros are going to take the big hyzer route over top of the road, try to just crash back in bounds, and then decide whether or not they're going to try and go for the eagle play or just kind of chip around and take the easy birdie on this hole.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite holes on the course. It's an attackable par 5, but you got to be aggressive if you want to go for the eagle because of that, like you said, that out of bounds road. If you choose that aggressive route and don't come back in bounds, the bogey comes pretty quick. So it has a lot of potential for score separation. And Josh, he wants to take that hyzer over the road, doesn't quite leave it wide enough, and that's going to drop. But luckily, the tree keeps him inbounds. So he can still birdie from there.
So I'm going to try and go a little bit higher and a little bit wider and try to take that tree out of play.
Definitely
Hang it in
high,
side.
not quite wide enough. You catch that same tree Josh did, but also inbounds. So not the worst case scenario. Let's see if I can make an adjustment off of those two lines. Nice and wide, something stable. Comes back in, and that'll play just fine.
And that's what you're looking for. Just getting around that corner and landing in the grass anywhere. Flat footing is a nice place to have it.
Yep. Ethan, he's going to do the same thing. Nice and high, nice and wide. And if you can, it's a little scary, but if you can get that road skip, you can almost get another 50 feet sometimes, depending on how high you throw your drive. But it's definitely a little more risky to play for that intentionally. Yeah, next he's trying to take the lower route under the branches. He gets through and is kind of just over there near 6's normal basket. That'll play just fine as well.
So eagle plays out of question for me here. It's just get through the gap and get straight distance. Try to eat up as much as I can.
Yeah, all that space on the left is inbounds, so there's no risk. Just taking 300 feet of distance and giving yourself a chance to still salvage a birdie. Josh, I'm sure he's trying to get a little more aggressive there, but just kind of leaves it low and inside. Tough to commit to that again, that over the road shot.
We'll hangs this out over the road a little bit, and it kind of squeaks back to the left. Looks like it's going to be a nice, easy open spot for him to get up and down.
Yeah, that group of trees right there is probably about only 200, maybe 220 to the basket. So if you're anywhere near them, you should have a chance to get a birdie putt. Ethan, he's going roller here. It's not a bad play. I mean, he's able to bite off a decent amount of distance, and he'll still have a chance at the birdie as well.
And it really gets him past those trees where it's going to be a nice open shot for him to get up and down.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I'm lining up the aggressive line. Didn't quite commit to it as much as I would have liked, but it's still got me plenty of ways up the fairway and should be a pretty straightforward birdie from there.
Josh lets this leak out of his hand just a little bit. Does it catch the tree there? Rolls.
That was a nice little kiss there from the tree, giving him a very open approach to save his par.
I gave myself a low ceiling here. There's not a lot here, so it's just kind of get through and chip up and take my par. I put myself out of position, so try to limit the damage before I make a mistake.
Yep, yeah, and par's just fine. I mean, you're definitely going to see quite a few pros taking birdies on this one just because of the distance. But again, any hole on this course that you are taking a par is just fine. So this is going to be Josh's fourth. He's able to put that under the basket to save his par. Shouldn't be a problem. This is going to be your fourth as well. See if you can do the same. That's well done. It doesn't go without saying, like, giving yourself tap-ins as opposed to 20 footers for par on this course definitely helps the mental side of playing this tournament. Like, there are a lot of stressful shots that you have to throw off the tee and on approaches with tight out of bounds. So kind of saving yourself the stress of having to make 20 to 25 foot putts over and over again makes this tournament a lot easier.
Absolutely, because the nerves they come into play when you're putting. Because it's the money at time you take the most focus for everything, and if you're putting yourself in position for 30-foot putts the entire day, you're gonna start missing some of them, and those are the ones that really save the strokes.
Yeah, for sure. So we saw a birdie there from Nick. That was a nice pickup. Josh, he's going to take a par. I believe this is a birdie putt for Ethan. So nicely done there to get him under par. And I'm going to be picking up a birdie as well to get myself under par.
And I'll just tap out for a par there as well.
Yeah, not too bad. Our card is playing pretty well. Everybody's kind of around even. That's all you really need on this layout.
So hole 7 is going to play from a temporary tee pad. And we're going to play down 9's fairway. So it's par 4, 523 feet. You've got a very narrow fairway all the way down here with OB on both sides. The OB ends just before this short basket, which we're not playing. We're actually going to play the farthest basket all the way out here in the meadow. So we're also not playing this middle basket. So we're going to work our way all the way out through here. So I think most of the pro field is going to try and just chip around on the left side here and really open up the fairway to try and get themselves down there. So what are you going to go with here?
Yeah, I'm just going to chip a forehand with my A2. This one tree in the middle of the fairway is kind of gets in the way the most off the tee shot. You could get aggressive with a forehand or a straight backhand down the right side and try to bite off a lot more. But with that tight OB on both sides of the fairway, most people are just going to play it safe. And Ethan is trying to play it safe, and he catches a limb.
Horrible roll.
Gets a really unlucky break, and he's going to be out of bounds very early. This is more what you want to see. Nick has the width, but also doesn't throw it too hard to keep himself in the middle. Really, the left side of the fairway opens up the second shot a lot more. So if you want to push the backside, but obviously not too much to find that out of bounds.
Probably a good tree there, keeping Josh from skipping out of bounds there. So I'm going to try and go the opposite way of you guys and see if I can figure out a faster way to get down to the basket. And I caught a tree.
Yeah, if you didn't clip that limb, I like that shot a lot. It puts you on the left side of the fairway. It opens up the second, like I said. But just a little unfortunate limbage to kind of take away your chance at the birdie pretty much.
Ethan pulls this pretty far. There is OB on the right side, and he does just fall in and out of bounds.
Yeah, he caught a tree at the end of the flight there, just before the end of the out of bounds. And he's going to have a big number coming up quick if he can't find the fairway. I'm just going to chip up a forehand, try to land around that medium basket, and hopefully take a stress-free par.
Josh is going to go with a little turnover here. Oh, it's most of the way down the fairway. That's awesome. He's going to be in C2 almost.
Yeah, he'll probably have a little bit of a putt. It might have a low ceiling, but there should be something from there. You're going turnover backhand. Looks like you left it a little wide.
A little wide and caught a tree. It's going to be in the thick stuff.
Yeah, and that's that tough angle that we're talking about. From the right side of the fairway, it really makes it hard to get back to the right where the basket is. Nick does a really nice job of that, though. He fights most of the way through, and he might have a long putt as well. So that was Ethan's fifth, I believe, after 2 out-of-bounds strokes. He catches a late tree, so he's going to have a long putt to save the double bogey, unfortunately. This is your third.
Yeah, just trying to chip out and get into the open spot. We've got a long C2 look here.
Yeah, I'm not really trying to run this. There's kind of a low ceiling and a couple trees in the way, so just trying to put it out into the open, get myself a pretty stress-free par, and I'm able to do that.
Got a goofy little layup here, just trying to squeak one down to the basket.
Yep, touchy little forehand.
It just catches a tree and kicks out on me.
Yeah, leaked a little bit right for you there, so a little tester for par.
This is Strobel's third. Should just be a nice little chip up to the basket here.
Ooh, I kind of gave that a bid there.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a run.
Here's Josh. This is a birdie look.
Oh, just low.
Yeah, I think he caught like a late leaf there that might have just taken a little bit too much off of it. So he'll have to settle for par. This is Ethan. This is a tourniquet putt and a half, as Ian Anderson would say, but he's unable to connect, so that's going to be a big number coming up for him.
Not sure if that was a little gust of wind or just nerves from those 20 footers that you were talking about earlier, but just didn't give that one a chance, and it's a rough double bogey to take.
Yeah, that is a tough break. Now, I definitely did remember feeling a little bit of headwind before your putt there, so it's not all the nerves, but still unfortunate. Nick, that's a nice putt for him to grab his par. I'll have a little tap out for par myself. And I will say it is tougher mentally to putt on these single chain baskets, because you saw mine almost rocket back out at me. So it's, you know, you just gotta focus in, dial in, and try not to think about it too much. So a very unfortunate triple bogey for Ethan, and Josh, he's able to grab the par.
Yeah, so hole 8 is going to be playing on a temporary tee pad. It's going to be a little turnover forehand shot, or some people might take a little hyzer flip, but it's par 3, 305. There is an OB island just at the top of the hill before you get up to the basket, and then there's OB out and around.
Yeah, it's kind of like a temporary lake per se, without any water, that they have around the short basket. But most of the pros, I don't think, are going to be scared of it. They're just going to kind of aim for that big tree and hope to get a putt. That's kind of what I did, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that's an excellent shot there. I think that's what everybody's going to try and do here.
Yep, Nick, he's lining up the same thing. He just kind of turns it a little too much, catches the trees on the left, but he is going to be inbounds. That was almost a fortunate kick to keep him in. Josh, he also lines up the same thing, but this is overturned, and that's going to cut roll into that lake that we talked about that is out of bounds.
That told me I need to give this one some height. And I do the same thing. I just get it on the edge and curls out back into the safe area.
Yeah, a little more fortunate roll than Josh got. So you'll actually have a long putt for birdie. Ethan, he's going to go overstable, big flex line with the Firebird, almost
goodness,
ace running it. He'll have a 30-footer coming back to the basket. That was a great shot.
That was fantastic.
So here's Nick. You can see those green flags. That's the out of bounds. So he was very fortunate to come up just short of that. And he throws a really nice approach there to save the par.
Josh is going to be throwing 3 here, just trying to get up to the basket, limit the damage, and make an easy putt. Just squeaks out a little deep on him there.
Yeah, I gave it a little too much. He probably couldn't see the basket from where he was at with that thick tree, so it'll be a tester. Here's you from like 70. Oh my God.
Close. You're trying to put another highlight on the reel for Dave.
Yeah, honestly, that was a great bid. It looked like he liked it the whole way. Here's Josh. That's a really nice putt to save the bogey after going out of bounds. He looks like he's found his putter right now. He's rolling.
Ethan's got the same putt here for birdie.
Yep, and this basket's also leaning a little bit, so scary little putt, but he's able to connect. That's a really nice bounce back.
That's a fantastic bounce back after the triple bogey.
Yep, I've got this little 12-footer there for the bird. Be able to clean that up.
Yeah, you're starting to catch a little heater here, getting a couple of birdies, separating yourself from the card.
Yeah, we're kind of in this stretch of forehand holes here where I'm hoping to, get a couple birdies, couple pars, and kind of give myself some breathing room before we go into that finishing stretch. So we'll see if I'm able to keep that up on this very difficult hole 9.
Yeah, so hole 9 is par 3, 438 feet. The tee pad is kind of lined up straight with this tree. You have the option of going low forehand on the left side, or you kind of have a low straight shot on the right side. You have a very narrow fairway all the way down here, and it really gets narrow as soon as you get down to the basket, almost turning into like a small island. Yeah, so most of the pros are going to go with a forehand here if you have a serviceable forehand, and that's like what you're going to go with here.
Yeah, the OB is really tight on this left-hand side, so in my head, I'm not really trying to get a birdie on this hole. It's more just throw something firm and on hyzer, let it fade back to the right, and maybe if I get a long putt, I'll take it. But I kind of cooked that one. Surprised myself, honestly, and I am around circle's edge.
You got some great height out of that forehand for being underneath this low ceiling. It's really hard to push the ceiling and get going up
Yeah, and
Good for you and Ethan do that.
he doesn't like this out of his hand. You can see him turn around right away, but Ethan also kind of crushed it. He gets this straight skip, and that's even closer than mine. That's like a 25-footer.
So Strobel's going to follow suit with that. Give it some nice height. A little more hyzer. It's probably going to check up into the trees over here on the right.
Yep, it's still a fine shot, though. I mean, he's probably 100 feet from the basket. Should be a pretty straightforward par from there. But it looks like you're going to line up this right-hand side backhand line.
Yeah, I just wasn't feeling confident with the forehand after hitting the trees or hitting the rock on the first hole, so thought I would stick with the backhand and just kind of swung it out wide there.
Yeah, all that stuff right is out of or inbounds until you get to the road. So it's definitely a safer play. As Josh, he's going for the flex line, which is very dangerous with that out of bounds. But luckily, he gives it enough height that it comes back and he's safe.
I'm just going to chip up, try to make an easy putt.
Yeah, that was a really nice shot from you there. That's one of those really stressful, 150-foot approaches that you got to put close to keep the momentum going. As Nick runs another one from like 100 feet.
Strobel is hunting the birdies.
For sure. Yeah, here's Josh. This is probably a 60-footer, scary to run, kind of downhill. Just leaves it a little short. Shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm a little too close to lay this up, so I'm gonna have to give this 35-footer a bid.
Oh, and he puts it right on the stripe. Starting to feel confident with that putter now.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel warmed up. Forehand feels good, putter feels good. So just trying to keep that momentum going.
I know you like doing the step putt in the C2. Is there a reason you didn't step putt that as you were looking down the basket?
It was just like a little downhill as Ethan makes the birdie there. And I don't know. I just the regular putt felt fine. I hadn't step putted yet today, so I just dropped it in.
Strobel's going to be tapping out his par putt there. A little deep, maybe 20 feet.
Yep, not a problem. Almost have a couple short par putts from Josh. And then yourself right after that. Nicely done there. Again, these are stressful, man. Everything's stressful on the single chain baskets. You can't trust them. Nice par from yourself to wrap up this front nine. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to, of course, like and subscribe as always. And don't go too far away because we'll have the back nine coming right up from this year's 2022 Buchmiller SuperThriller presented by Elevated Disc Golf Events. Don't go far. Back nine's coming right up.